For-profit prisons in the United States should be banned. I believe this statement is false for three main reasons. First, for-profit prisons in the United States are less costly. Second, public prisons are getting too overcrowded. And third, conditions in private prisons are better than ones in public prisons. Contention 1. For-profit prisons are less costly. More than 2 decades of experience with private prisons in the United States, Great Britain, Australia, and elsewhere attest to the fact that private prisons can be built and operated at lower cost than public prisons, says an article from AZ Central. Cost savings of 15 to 25% on construction and 10 to 15% on management are common. These are modest but significant cost savings in a $5.7 billion state system that continues to grow more expensive every year. Private prisons not only have lower costs than public prisons by introducing competition, they encourage public prisons to also innovate and lower costs. A recent Republic News article disclosed that the non-adjusted cost of housing a medium security prisoner was $64.52 in a state-run facility and only $58.82 in a private prison. When you further adjust these figures by adding in the high expenses of constructing the prisons and paying for the costly and grossly underfunded public pensions of the state corrections employees, the private prisons become an even better deal for taxpayers. Contention 2. Public prisons are getting too overcrowded, so there's an urgent need to get more space. Last year's overcrowding levels were the highest since 2004, where federal prisons were 41% above maximum level, called the rated capacity. Wardens may see a spike in violence as more inmates are squeezed into tighter living quarters, researchers warned. The overcrowding contributes to increased inmate misconduct, which negatively affects the safety and security of inmates and staff, says, according to the report. If you start cramming more and more people into confined space, you're going to create more tensions and problems, says the GAO's Director of Homeland Security and Justice, David Marr. It creates the possibility that someone's going to snap and have a violent incident. Contention 3. Inmates who have tasted both public and private lockups say that they prefer the latter. You have more things in CCA, more programs, better recreational facilities, says Anthony Palavey. Inmates believe conditions in private prisons are better. A 1988 survey of inmates shows that inmates rated conditions and programs in private prisons higher than in government prisons, especially in terms of cleanliness, staff competence, work assignments, and requests and grievances. More significant, those inmates who had been in both public and private prisons rated private prisons better 6-1. A similar survey in 1989 found nearly identical results. Inmates rated private prisons superior to government ones overall, especially with respect to healthcare, victimization, and violence, staff use of force, and counseling. Because of these 3 reasons, we urge a con ballot in today's resolution. Thank you.
Before the crossfire, let's try to change the vote. Crossfire, stop the camera.